This is the review video for chapter 4.2, the material we covered before spring break. So we are still using the slack and pivot methods to solve problem. As you can see, this is kind of a lengthy process. These problems are pretty complex, but let's look at some of the one that we have done. Okay, the first example we have here is already set up for you, right? So we talk about that we need to find the pivot column, which is the one with the greatest negative number. So for this one would be -6 here. So this is your pivot column, right? And then once we have that, we need to look at the quotient of this number, and this is 18 divided by 3, 6, and I don't know why I didn't write here. 18 divided by 3 is 6, and 16 divided by 2 is 8, right? So this one is the smaller one, which means this is my pivot column, and using that I found my pivot number, right? The pivot number is 3. So after that, we need to make the pivot number 3 to be 1. So to be 1, and the number below it to be 0, right? Using all the row operations. So to do that, we just need to divide everything by 3, right? So if I do that, I get that. So now my pivot number is 1 using these row operations. I need to turn this number into 0 and this number into 0, right? So if I use the top one times a -2, add to here, apply back to here, I can make that a 0. If I use the top one times a 6, and then add to the last one and apply back here, it will make that a 0. So that's what we did with these two row operation. And then after we get this 0, that would be your answer. Remember, when we read the answer is the one come with 0 is your answer. So 1x1 is 6. 1x2 is 6. And then we have 1s2 is 4. And then don't forget your z value here is 36, and the rest of them would be 0 for the answer. So that's the first example. The second example in 4.2, they didn't set up the matrices for you, so you will have to add the slack variable. So you have an S1 set it equal, S2 set it equal. Move these two terms to the left hand side to get the maximized equation ready. So once you have that, and you can put it in your matrix here. So we put it into the matrix. We see this is the greatest negative number, so that's your pivot column. We do the quotient, we found a small number, so across here, that's your pivot number. We need to make that a 1 and the other two numbers 0, right? So we go through the steps, and then we get our answer here. So again, the one come with 0, actually have an answer. 1x2 is 5, 1s1 is 20, and then my z value is here, right? So I list them there, and the rest of them would be 0. So the maximized value is 25 when this condition met. On your 4.2, you also have number 15. So number 15 is kind of a special case. So again, we do the slack variable first, and then we fix the z equations, and after that we set the matrix, and we found this is the greatest negative number, that's your pivot column, and then do the quotient. But this time it's kind of weird because like the denominator is negative and you get negative number here. So if you get negative number here, meaning you don't really have a pivot, and you don't have the maximum number here. So this particular question actually have no solution. You can go ahead and keep solving it, but at the very end, those answer would be negative number, and because this question is asking for maximum, so you cannot have a maximum number which is negative. So we did that before spring break. So I'm going to have other videos to do this work problem and show you how to do it. I know this kind of work problem is really lengthy, so very unlikely we're going to do that on the exam, but I may ask you to set up something, but not solve every single step, or do part of it as the exam question. And I hope that makes sense.